when the league suspends Draymond under the circumstances what they suspended him for, they are asking for trouble.
They sure are. And they got
with the way other
Listen,
players are
man,
going to react.
I hear what you're saying. Also, they made it very clear Draymond's history was the reason he got suspended.
Well,
let's leave the little violins at home and recognize that Draymond put himself in this situation.
No. That's not what Brian's saying. What Brian's saying is because of how the league has legislated these flagrant fouls, you now have a situation where on virtually any time there is a foul, there are attempts by the player who was fouled to try to get a review to turn it into a flagrant foul.
I hear that. I'm just saying let's not be too sympathetic towards Draymond where there's been a lot of that.
I'm just saying,
gone overboard.
Like, okay, so was it 3 minutes into the game? Nick Claxton, Embiid drives with the ball, falls on the ground. Nick Claxton steps over him.
Fouled by Claxton.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the play.
Claxton steps over him.
Mm-hmm. Tried to bait him.
Yep. Because they know that the way to get a guy neutralized is to get him kicked out or suspended.
There's one thing that should be reminded here. Back in January, in the Ben Simmons game, the one time Ben Simmons has actually played in Philadelphia as a net, the real tussle that obviously Embiid and Simmons guard each other at the beginning of the game. People remember that. The thing people don't remember is during that game, Embiid and Claxton got double technicals because Claxton and Embiid got after it. And Embiid said after the game, Claxton said some stuff he wouldn't repeat later and whatever. It became a thing.
Right.
So those two guys already have a history. And that's before it's 2-0 Philly.
Mm-hmm.
And Embiid has dominated the interior the past two games. So all that is prior context to Claxton committing this foul and then staring down Embiid and stepping over, leading up to what happened after that.
And then Embiid kicks up at his groin. He didn't hit his groin. I don't know if that was.
I think he might have hit the groin. He did not hit the cojones.
He hit him in the back of the leg.
Those are not your groin. You're using as a euphemism, but they're neighbors, but they're separate body parts.
Thank you for that
clarification.
He hit Claxton in the back of the leg and didn't even hit him really that hard, which is why I thought before they announced the review, it was going to be a friend of ours who's a scout texted me, who was at the game, said, "What do you think this is going to be?" I said, "They think they're going to call Claxton for a tech for taunting. And I think they're going to call Embiid for a flagrant one because he didn't really connect that hard, even though it was obvious he had intent behind what he was doing."
Okay, right. But here's the thing. Because of what's happened with guys who've been hitting the groin, there's been multiple suspensions over the years for that.
Sure.
And because Claxton went down like there was a mortal wound.
Right.
And, I don't want to call anybody out because I don't know how certain things felt, but it wouldn't be the first time this week a guy, took a shot and acted as if it was,
Well, here's the thing about it. Do you, MacMahon, I know Brian, you thought it was a flagrant two, right?
I was surprised. I was surprised they because it was so blatantly that he kicked him.
But either way, it was a borderline call. You thought it was flagrant two, not stunned. It's a flagrant one. MacMahon, did you think it was a flagrant one or flagrant two?
I thought there were definitely flagrant two intentions and flagrant one execution.
That's basically where I came down. I thought he should have stayed in the game because he didn't connect really. He sort of grazed him, whatever.
But so
here's
it's like
the thing.
you tried to kick him in the nuts, but because you have bad aim, like just because he's not as good a kicker as Draymond Green.
I would have been fine if I think it was a borderline call. You could have gone either way. We seem to all agree on that, right?
Okay.
Sure.
This James Harden ejection later in the game.
All right. Hold on. We'll get to that.
Hold on. Right. Well, I'm just this.
It's Wendy's.
I don't know
Wendy's on the cartoon, bro. When he says, "Hold on, you got to stand down."
I had to watch this game, and I had to deal with this all day. This James Harden ejection. Every single person on press row was flabbergasted when they said.
I'm going to tell you why.
I'm
going to tell you why. Because after the events of the last few days, the fact that they gave Embiid a flagrant one. Mm-hmm. Even though it wasn't Tony Brothers, who was the crew chief in this game's decision to suspend Draymond, he is the figurehead for the NBA authority. because of what had just happened, the overwhelming response, especially I'm sure within the building there in Philadelphia, in Brooklyn, was that was a miscarriage. Okay. And so that was just hanging in the air. All right. At halftime, not that I'm saying the referees are watching.
He kicked at something that was hanging.
Yeah, you could have made a carriage joke there too.
I opted out of that one.
Good job. You got Charles Barkley and Shaq saying he should have been kicked out. Again, not that the crew chiefs is watching that, but I mean, they're sort of setting the agenda.
I did not expect the 1990s inside crew to start saying that there should be ejections from games too. I went to watch to see what they'd have to say, and I was like, this is not what I expected.
It was 24 hours after one of the bad boys suspended Draymond.
Yeah, right.
Strange week in the league.
Okay, so go ahead, Bontemps. Then we have
So then at the end of the third quarter, James Harden has Royce O'Neale on him and sort of just shoves him. I didn't really listen. At first, I couldn't honestly tell where the foul was. Like, I saw the play. Royce O'Neale goes down. They call this offensive foul. James Harden looks surprised. I was like, all right, I didn't see a lot of contact there. Then I'm watching the review. I honestly couldn't really tell what happened at first. I mean, it looked like he hit him in the stomach, but like
He hit Royce O'Neale right in the double zeros.
I thought he hit him higher than that personally. I didn't think he hit him that low. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I watched the replay a bunch of times and I was like, this looks like a common foul. And then they come back and announce it's a flagrant 2.
On that one, I can't be certain that obviously O'Neal wanted everybody to think that he got hit in the cojones. I'm not sure if he did or not, but on that one, I thought that it was common foul to potentially flagrant 1 intentions. I think Harden might have been meaning to hit him like in the stomach.
Well, he was hanging on him. He was hanging on him and he pushed
Harden
him off.
He was definitely,
for sure.
But he did it with like a fist. I mean, I think he was definitely meaning to give him a shot. And that might have been flagrant 1 intentions and flagrant 2 execution. Or maybe
you should write a dissertation on this. Man.
I'm stunned. Perhaps, you think this is a flagrant 2? I don't know anybody, and nobody at the
game.
So
here's what I think.
2.
Okay, so over the last couple of years, where we review everything where the guy lays on the ground, many times you see a foul and you're like, okay, that's a foul, and then they review it and they come back and say flagrant 1. Mm-hmm. That happens like how many times? And we've just become accustomed to, all right, well, he's going to get a flagrant 1 because he laid on the ground. And that's what I thought was going to happen there. I thought he was going to, lay on the ground his way to a flagrant 1. And it wasn't going to be the worst, even though the game was very competitive, it wasn't going to be the worst call ever. Right. So for them to take those 2 plays and, appear to go soft on the first one and then overboard on the second one, affecting the same team, it just didn't look good. So after the game, Bontemps, Tony Brothers, the crew chief, gives a pool report. What does he say?
Well, he didn't even have to give the pool report because they have Bonnie McCutcheon, his boss, on immediately after the play. And he said, well, James Harden hit him in the groin intentionally, and that's why he got ejected from the game, which is later what Tony Brothers said. I still don't think he actually hit him in the groin. I still am stunned that he got a flagrant 2. And by the way, like, the Sixers are trying to have a long playoff run. If you get 4 flagrant foul points, you get suspended for a game. James Harden now has 2. Like, that's not an insignificant thing. And like, I just thought this was an insane call. Like, if you told me that Embiid got ejected, I would have understood it. That was a borderline call. I could have seen a flagrant 2. I thought it was a flagrant 1, especially because it's a playoff game and he got sort of goaded into it. Whatever. Either way, it would have been fine. I think this Harden thing is crazy. And to me, it's just
guess who else thought it was crazy? Harden thought it was crazy.
Well, Harden but I have sympathy for Harden on this one. I cannot believe he got ejected for this play. I think it's wild. It's a wild decision. Like, to me, it should get rescinded. It should get taken down to a flagrant 1 on Friday by the league, which I'm sure it's not going to after this. But I don't know how they can, with a straight face, say that this is a flagrant 2 play.
All right. Well, then let me say this. So then midway through the fourth, Claxton gets ejected for a second technical.
Well, this was the dumbest thing of all time. Nick Claxton, I'm sorry. Like, he has this dunk on Embiid, and then he runs over to Embiid and stares him down and clearly taunts him, which is the easiest tech of all. Tony Brothers sprinted across the gym and was just, see ya. Just immediately flinging him out of the
right
game.
on his heels of saying see ya. Embiid was saying see ya too.
Oh, I mean, Nick Claxton was having a good game, and like they're up in the game, I think 6 or 8 points at that point. Like, just a colossally stupid play by him. Just, you cannot be doing that.
Especially, I mean, it's stupid anyway, but especially when you know that you've got no interior way to slow down Embiid, and you're the best option.
Right.
And so like they're running Day'Ron Sharp out there, who's really a borderline even center on a good day, much less dealing with a 7'2" behemoth.
Right.
So, but I will say this: the crazy thing is, as if that's not all enough, because it was a back and forth game, is that Harden is out, and so that means the ball's in Tyrese Maxey's hands coming down the stretch. Embiid's having a dog game. I don't know if he was just due. I don't know. He kind of fell on his knee.
His knee was bothering him. His back was bothering him. His foot was bothering him. He had about 20 pounds of ice on his knee after the game. I mean, he was all banged up.
Yeah, his foot was bothering him. He thought I was going to hit something softer when he kicked Claxton.
Well, look, I mean, Tyrese Maxey had 15 in the first half, doesn't score the first 21 minutes of the second half, and then had 10 straight points the final 3 minutes. Hit a huge step back three to put the Sixers ahead late. And then Spencer Dinwiddie had a chance to tie the game. Joel gets a big block, and the Sixers find a way to escape with a win that, they did not deserve to get. They played really bad. They had Harden, who was their one good, consistent offensive player, get ejected. Harden finally made some twos in the game. But, now they come back in 36 hours. They play a game Saturday afternoon again in Brooklyn in game 4. And we'll see if they can close the series out, or if it starts to go like the series last year with Toronto, where they went up 3-2 and then they were down, it got to within 3-2, and that led to Embiid getting hit in the face late in game 6 and breaking his orbital bone or whatever he did.
Yeah.
This is a great pool report. I actually am just now reading it. The explanation for Harden, based on the point of contact directly to the groin, it rose to the level of excessive an ejection.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.